Hello, everyone, and welcome to Shades of Success, Episode 3. I am Dr. Pamela Williamson, President and CEO of the Women's Business Enterprise Council West. Our goal as an organization is to connect women-owned businesses to opportunities through certification, education, and targeted networking. It is hard to believe that we brought you episodes 1 and 2 of Shades of Success in October of 2020. And now in 2023, we have brought back the original guest and host to find out what has changed in their businesses with the passing of time, the emphasis corporations have placed on doing business with Black women business owners, and the push for equity. I would like to thank Honda for sponsoring episode 3 of Shades of Success.
My name is Carl Dion Harris Sr., and I am a diversity and inclusion specialist with Honda. At Honda, we believe that bringing together different perspectives sparks innovation and makes us stronger. Our supplier diversity initiatives support the development of small, minority, and women-owned businesses by creating opportunities for partnership. WBEC-West provides opportunities for us to connect with women-owned businesses in a variety of ways. Honda is so proud to be a sponsor for the 2023 Shades of Success programming, and together we can continue to advocate for the importance of inclusion and diversity.
And introduce our moderator, Lily Otiano. Lily Otiano serves as the Director for Supply Chain and Diverse Business Enterprises for SoCalGas. In this role, she is responsible for supply chain strategies, contracting and procurement of services, material management, and supplier diversity. In this capacity, she has oversight of over $2.4 billion in contract spend for SoCalGas, manages over 70 material distribution locations, and continues to spread and spearhead transformational projects while advancing the company's mission. In 2022, her team was able to increase supplier diversity spend to over $1 billion of the procurement spend. She spearheaded a 9-point strategy, was fundamental in the SoCalGas reaching over $1 billion, or nearly 43% in procurement spend with minority, women, service-disabled veterans, and LGBTQ-owned businesses. Lily, thank you so much for being our moderator, not just for this year, but for the past 2 episodes. We definitely appreciate and look forward to this episode 3 of Shades of Success.
Thank you, Dr. Williamson, for that great introduction. Can't believe it's been 3 years since we last spoke about Shades of Success. And at that time, we were really focusing on what was going on in Black-owned businesses in America after the social unrest, after all the work, the pandemic was happening. One of the things we noticed was that during the pandemic, almost 40% of Black-owned businesses dropped or stopped doing business. And at the very moment, at that very time, when you're looking at businesses today, we see that there's an uptick of African-American owned businesses by almost 30% in comparisons to other businesses. So this is a good thing. This is showing that we really rallied together. We did some work in various areas. There were many projects, many programs that were focused on building back the businesses and building African-American owned businesses in particular. There were so many things that were going on in our society. And I remember as we were talking, we focused on some of the challenges we've experienced as African-American owned women business owners, and some of the successes we've experienced, as well as some of the businesses as we see them right now. So with that, we're back year 3 on Shades of Success, and I'm bringing back the original cast. It's back, everybody's back, and you're super excited today to hear from you, hear how things have been going. But before I start with introductions, I want to say, for me, also, during that very period of time, I got promoted as well. And now I am the Director for Supply Chain and DBE, which is the Diverse Business Enterprise for SoCalGas. So success there. I got a larger role. If previously I was a portfolio manager focused on major projects, but now my role has changed and expanded. So I'm actually looking at the numbers within the numbers. My job includes supply management, procurement. It also includes inventory and logistics, which is the material management for the company for SoCalGas, as well as overseeing our numbers in our diversity spend. And we've done a lot of work in that area. As a company, after 2020, we decided to focus on the numbers within the numbers, and had a goal specifically for increasing African-American owned businesses, not only by number, but also by spend. And I'll be happy to report that at the end to see how we've done. And also we had initiatives surrounding the growth and development of African-American owned businesses. So we've done, as a corporation, we've done a lot of work in the area of increasing African-American owned business spend, African-American owned companies that we do business with. But I'll be remiss if I didn't talk about African-American owned women businesses. You all know that is some area of opportunity for all of us. And we want to hear where we can challenges and successes for you as we go through this podcast. So with that, I'll start again with the introductions. Last time we started with you, Pat. We're gonna go start with you again. Tell us about your business, what you do, and maybe just then go to Rhonda like we did last time.
My name is Pat Watts. My company is FCI Management. FCI Management is an implementer of energy efficiency programs. We have offices throughout the United States. We primarily focus on energy efficiency programs for both commercial space and for residential. And in the residential side, we focus largely on the low-income communities. We are in California, a licensed electrical and general contractor. So the work that we generate, we also go out and do installations, upgrades, energy efficiency in the company's facilities and homes that we serve.
Hi, Lily, and welcome back, Women of Color of WBEC. I'm so excited to be here again and seeing all your faces. My name is Rhonda Jackson. I am a serial entrepreneur and small business advocate. I own a design and construction company, Decor Interior Design. I also own a Benjamin Moore paint store that offers transitional employment opportunities to veterans, recently released individuals, and emancipated youth. And recently our programming got 501c3 certified through the IRS. So we're excited to be able to offer that programming to the community at large as well. And I've grown the company since 1997. So we're about in our 20th year in business, or 25th year in business. So super excited about that.
Well, good afternoon, ladies. I'm glad to see each and every one of you. Gosh, it's been a while. Hello, everyone. My name is Barbara Marek. I'm the president of B&M Construction. We are located in Colorado Springs, Colorado. We are a vertical interior design build out company. We also do space planning, design, and furniture procurement. We have several offices throughout the United States, St. Louis, Missouri, and Tampa, Florida. So hello again, everyone.
Hello, everybody, and glad to see everybody on the screen again. So my company is Coleman Construction. We're a general building and engineering firm. Our team we're a small DBE firm that has been in the industry about 25 plus years. And our main focus is doing rough carpentry work. We do some light concrete work and tenant improvement. And we continue to do work with companies like Hensel Phelps, Clark, and Skanska.
Thank you for those introduction, ladies. I know it's been 3 years, so we're gonna start by asking, how have you done? How have you been? What's changed? What's different? Since 2020, when we spoke, we collectively talked about some challenges, some opportunities. Did those opportunities pan out? What are some of the challenges you're seeing? Did the corporation really live up to the expectation of what they were discussing at that time? Pat?
Great question, Lily. So because we work primarily with utility companies did step up in a way to support their contractor network, especially here in California. They really collaborated, worked together to help save the network of contractors serving, in particular, the low-income communities, because that's program here in California is actually legislated. It's in statute. So, utilities are really mandated to serve those communities. And so during that time when everyone was shut down and everything just stopped, we're trying to get PPP funds, which we were successful at doing, and other things to retain our employees. And then the utilities actually stepped up and worked with us with the contractor community to provide additional financial support. So that was a success. For me, timing is everything, because I do utility contracts, and they're really driven by RFPs. And so RFPs came out in a timely manner so that we're actually really scaled up in the last 3 years significantly, and opened one additional office in Portland, Oregon. And so that was a great success. But the challenge of success right now is staffing. It is really difficult to find qualified, interested candidates to fill our positions. And I am not alone in this. I talk to fellow contractors all the time. I talk to people in the industry. This is kind of a little niche industry, if you will, and we're all having the same challenge. And so it's kind of interesting that you come out of a pandemic and then suddenly you can't find people to employ. So that's kind of one of the biggest challenges. I don't know about any of the rest of you guys, but for me, that's a big issue.
It's so nice to hear that the PPP funds worked and you were able to take advantage of those programs that were out there for businesses at that time. Super excited. I'm curious, before I go back to the same question for Rhonda, Barbara, and Sharon, did the PPP funds work for you? Were you guys able to get PPP funds?
I received PPP funds.
So good.
And ERC credits.
Perfect.
Yep.
And were those hard to get? Because I had mixed reviews. Some people, it was not easy for them to get. Was there a hurdle to get those funds, or was it pretty straightforward and doable for you?
So this is Barbara. I tracked the money when they started talking about it in DC. I tracked where it would be dispersed first. I knew California, New York, and Florida would probably get it first. And so at that time, I had a team in California and Florida. So, and then my banker, I had a great relationship with my banker. My financials were ready to go. And so the day it hit, my paperwork went in. So I didn't have a problem.
Yeah, it was kind of easy breezy for me too as well, but primarily because I had an amazing banker, and they were just right on top of making sure that everyone got their paperwork in a timely manner. They were SBA, funders, so that made it really nice that this is my bank. It already gives me concierge service. I love working with them. And so both for 2020 and 2021, that process for me was easy, as was the forgiveness role in it. And it was really helpful. I mean, I thank God for that, because I don't know how any businesses would have survived without access to the PPP.
Excellent. Love to hear that. So going back to you, Rhonda, how are you doing? 3 years? Tell us what you've done, what's new, what's challenging, share some success with us.
Oh my goodness. So the challenges was pretty much the wait. So we did apply and receive the PPP, and just not knowing when that funding was going to come through, which actually, we went back to what caused us to be in business. We got really scrappy. We got down and dirty. I started doing this marketing effort called Thursday 30, and I would call 30 people low hanging fruit that I thought would, need our services or need our services coming up, whether it be for paint or painting, like the supply or the actual service itself. So it really brought me back to like why I was in business, how I survived even before, growing my business to the size and scale that it was. as a finishing contractor, a lot of projects got pushed back. So the framing wasn't done, drywall wasn't done. So they didn't quite need painting. So I was able to acquire some opportunities through my consulting services as an interior designer. So it just really kind of unfolded the resourcefulness that was available inside the company and what we had to offer and what we had to offer to meet the times. So I think that was one of our biggest growth opportunities that came out of it. The other part of it, born out of COVID, I had started a podcast called Road to Recovery, where I wanted to help disseminate resources and information to business owners. And we are at over 10,000 views with over 100 episodes published on the channel. So I would call that effective and impactful. And that mission has just continued to answer some of what Pat also sees as a challenge with the labor shortages. Is we actually developed our own in-house training program offering transitional employment opportunities to recently released individuals, emancipated youth, and veterans to help, kind of feed into our work that we had up and coming, which was really helpful and successful as well.
Very innovative, right, Rhonda, because it's how you disseminate information, it's how you get to people, it's knowledge is power. And I really want to talk about the conversation you've started about working with emancipated youth or recently released veterans. So can you tell us about why you started that program? What motivated you to start?
Just looking at the core, as a public works contractor, we're often charged with the task of making sure that payroll dollars hit the communities that they're intended to or that we're working in at the time. So we were already doing those things. But if we followed some of the grandfathered models of, you do it, you only get one chance and then they have to leave, or, you have to let them go because of something simple or something they may not have even known. One of the areas, the recently released individuals, like recently incarcerated individuals, they've had someone for 5, 10, 20 years telling them when to eat, when to sleep, when to go. And so to release them into an employment opportunity and they don't have that skill set developed yet. They don't, the independent, autonomy of, that own personal initiative. So being the type of employer, we're actually a fair chance employer where we'll walk you through it. We'll talk you through it. And out of that, we've gotten I've got guys that have been with me now for 5 years. And then also as the employer, being flexible to their commitments and their, rehabilitation journey as well. So, the get in that opportunity and that relationship has come to benefit us. And we've got some very wonderful men and women that work for us. We say that we hire for character and we'll train for skill.
That hire for character and train for skill. I know we've already always been told you can train the skill, right? You can train for the skill, but the character and the person is who they are as you hire them. All right, Barbara, I know you talked a little bit about it was not hard for you to receive the PPP funds. What are some of the successes and what are some of the challenges you're experiencing now after the pandemic?
Well, so I live in the beautiful state of Colorado, and we still have challenges as far as DBE, SBE, and the small business realm. Denver, I would say, is at the forefront of helping women-owned businesses, whereas Colorado Springs, we're behind the time. We just elected a new mayor was just elected in Colorado Springs, so first African-American, so hopefully some of those tides will change for our set-asides and breaking out procurements for small business. But with that being said, Rhonda kind of reminded me of what I did. I went back to the core of where I started and the purpose of the business. And then really looking at the landscape of a second chance program that we have, where we do on-the-job training as well for individuals. Some succeed and some don't. My thought process with that is all of us have done something wrong. We just didn't get caught. We didn't go and serve time for it. And so these individuals, if we don't give them a second chance, data says they will go back into the prison system. So my target for that is to just really offer opportunity. The challenge with me with that, though, is because we're a federal contractor, And even though the federal government say they will bond them because they've served time, usually is not the case in the area that we work in the federal installations that surround Colorado Springs. Been successful though with that in Tampa at the VA, and then the St. Louis, Missouri team. But in Colorado Springs, it creates a little challenge because they really don't want people that have records on their facility. So I'm glad I did go back and really focus on what we were good at, why the business started, to really scale back for regrowth. So COVID was a good lesson. I think it reminded us all of what's important and what our purpose and our missions are, and then just to embrace them. And I've learned not to be everything to everybody. So that's where, and then I have some other things going on outside of the company that came to the forefront because of that. But yeah, I just, I've realized I love what I do. I love construction. And just being focused on those things have really kept the business moving forward.
That's really important. Love what you do because you'll do it regardless of the challenges that come up. So if you focus on loving what your core business is and know the purpose of your business, you'll be able to continue even during these times where there was challenges and you created some opportunities for yourselves, right? So Sharon, how is Coleman Construction? What 3 years? Reflect with us. Tell us a little bit more about what's going on, challenges, successes, opportunities.
I guess 3 years. I guess it kind of went kind of fast. I would say. I guess my challenge, like Pat and Barbara, PPP wasn't difficult for me. I found ways in order to. My particular bank wasn't given the PPP, but I researched and found out which banks were given the PPP. So I did get the PPP and got those forgiven. So that was all as well on those. And basically it's kind of something similar to what Rhonda said. I started calling some old clients because we had a bunch of our backlog prior to COVID was mainly a bunch of private projects. And those private projects, they lost their funding. So it was like you had all this work and then you didn't have in the blink of an eye, your work kind of left. So we just got on the phone and start calling people that we had done business with, and we were able to sustain that way. I guess our biggest challenge would be in losing the backlog of work. We had to regroup financially. Although the PPP helped in some way, it still wasn't the overall and be all in order to save the business. So we had to find some other creative ways to do that. And so with that, I think our biggest challenge right now, we are looking for estimators. So that is what keeps us going. Because we're signatory to the union, we don't really have a problem as far as work source. Our biggest problem is trying to find a good administrative assistant or more inner office stuff. So that would be our biggest issue right now. So outside of that, workers we don't usually have a problem with. We have our office staff is where it is the bigger thing, but in talking to many other people, everybody is having that same issue of that office, having somebody good in your office. So
very interesting. So it's the same kind of issues. I can see there are 3 themes coming up. It's labor shortages, but labor shortages in different ways, right? It could be in the management or the support, but overall there was labor shortages and continue to be labor shortages to be able to support the growth of the business. And the second thing is that just overall business has gone in the right direction for most of us. The business has increased. When we look at the data shows that business has increased for African American owned businesses because of the programs that were focused in by corporations to support African American owned businesses in particular. So what I'm interested to hear now is, do you have any ways of advocacy, or how do you reach back? How do you make sure this trajectory of growth is increasing? As we say that business has increased for African American, remember it was only at 3%. So even though with a modest increase for 2 percentage points to 5% in some areas, 6 or 7, depending on the data that you're looking at, there's still a low number. What are some of the things you're seeing we should do as a community to increase our business, in looking at maybe advocacy, where is policy changes? How do we promote and bring more African American owned businesses to the fold so we can continue to increase this number? Yes, the number has increased, but it's still very low. So some thoughts, anyone can jump in here. Barbara, okay, let's go.
So, that's something I've been thinking about and working on. And what I've done is, so in my back office, I had an issue with having an estimator and a project manager. And so when I looked at the cost to bring on 2 people, there was this African-American estimator. That's what he does, estimate and project manage. And I brought him in as a consultant to fill that need. And then I looked at a African-American electrical firm. And so my goal now is to really look at those individuals that are African-American businesses that are small, that I can bring them in as consultants to help in an area of need. And it helps me move the company forward, but it also helps them. As a matter of fact, the gentleman that's my estimator and project manager, he said to me about a week ago, if it wasn't for you, I probably would have closed my doors, because he did not, he doesn't have access to the opportunities that I have access to. So I had a need and an opportunity. He had a need and an opportunity. And so we came together. And so I think these are the things that we don't look at as small African-American businesses to. And I said to myself, I'm going to stop saying I'm small. Okay. I'm just going to stop saying that. So as African-American businesses, I think we don't look at those things. And because I work for the federal government, they have consultants all day. They have consultants for project manager. They have consultants for architect and engineer. So to take on that model, it has not only helped me to go after work, but it has helped me keep doors of companies of African-American businesses open. So that was my way of not just helping them, but helping myself.
Yeah. Lily, can I add? I replaced that S, Barbara, with the word support. And so not strong, not small, but I replaced that S on my chest with the word support, and really looked at my networks and creating networks. So hosting my third Saturday event every month where people can come and, find the plumber, find the accountant. I get texts shortly thereafter, Rhonda, who was the guy that spoke on legal? Can I get his number? Or who was the person that, spoke on XYZ topic? And the other thing that I'm seeing, and I know that even Sharon and I have had this exchange where I'll see an opportunity that may not be in my wheelhouse, but here it might be something that Sharon can do. I've sent, Pat and I have had exchanges about things. Are they big enough? where maybe I have a part or maybe I don't, but here's an opportunity for you to succeed or an opportunity for your business to thrive. And then that means that they're buying vacation homes and painting them and designing them, and I'm still in the mix. So either way it goes, seeing opportunities, I think where we as business owners, where we all win, creating that ecosystem on, how to recycle those dollars within the communities, before they leave our communities would be a really good way to start or to share being part of that.
Yeah, no, Pat, Sharon.
Yeah, no, I want to jump in here because one of the things that I have found is that there are a lot of small one-man businesses, especially in the trades, the plumber, the HVAC guy, and I mean, they don't participate in things like WBEC or NMSDC, any of the organizations that support minority small-owned businesses at all. They just kind of go out and do their thing, and they have their customers. And so what I've done is taken a couple of them under my wings, and Lily, you'll appreciate that, for my ESA contracts to bring in new African-American contractors for these opportunities that they're just not accustomed to doing. They're accustomed to doing, one job here and one job there. I got a lot of jobs, and I need your support to come and support me on doing this. And I think that that's a focus that we should look at. Maybe a lot of these organizations is trying to find out who those folks are, or those smaller businesses that don't participate in our organizations and they don't know about the larger contracts.
And Pat, with that, I would say, and then we have to be willing to help them, right? If you have certified payroll, we should be open to helping them get through that certified payroll, or understanding the insurance requirements and understanding the pay, when we pay, and how all of that works. And so it's just really teaching them and helping them to grow their business. So you're right, pouring into those small businesses. I have a contract now that we're helping with certified payroll, getting them to understand their insurance requirements and why pay is the way it is. So when even being creative with the client to say, we need to be paid on this day so we can pay these small businesses, because they wanted small businesses on the contract. So I think it's us changing our approach and our thought process to get it done.
Yeah, and being open to identifying those individuals and bring them into the fold, because we've already gone through the headaches, and we know the game, the road, and all the things that have to be done, and they don't. So, for example, in California, the California utilities actually require us to be part of IS Net World, which is their safety organization that monitors contractors for safety. You guys all know that, right? Well, these guys were accustomed to that. They're like, what is that? And it's a lot of work just to put together the policies and things like that. And so I've said, look, don't worry about it. We'll help you. We've written all these policies before. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can share that with you, and we can walk you through the steps. And so we're actually helping them to grow their business by getting them ready for the next big opportunity for them. And then the only problem, again, that all of us have is still trying to identify those individuals who really want to pursue careers in the trades. They're just far and few in between anymore. And I think that's because this Gen Z generation, they don't want to do anything but be on their devices.
So I would say this is what I do. This is what I do. This is what I've done, is I go into those underserved communities, and I go into the high schools before they graduate. Usually it's like 3 months before they graduate. And I've compiled a list of construction to say, this is all the jobs in construction, because sometimes they only think, oh, it's just a laborer in concrete. They don't understand you can go from a laborer to a lead to an assistant superintendent to a superintendent, and you can go and grow without a college degree. You can have that skill set. And I was just having a conversation with someone the other day about we get stuck on, we want a project manager with a degree, we want a superintendent. But if we look at the experience of the individual and take their experience and compare it to someone that might have the theory from a college education and someone that's practical, I would look at someone with practical because they have hands-on and they have the knowledge. And so I think that's an approach that we forget about too. Let's look at the experience and take their experience and compare it to someone that has a degree. And you really wind up with a good hire and a loyal employee. And I can say that because I have 4 individuals that's worked for me for 13 years. They didn't have and say, where's the path compared to someone with a degree? So that's another approach that I think we should look at as well.
So I see a theme coming up of business strategy. So for us to increase that number, for us to increase the number of African-American owned businesses, especially African-American women-owned businesses, we need to relook at our business strategy. And you all ladies have done this. This is excellent and exceptional. How do we get this to be done at a larger scale of support? And what can we do together to bring that to the forefront? And maybe that's something that we include WBEC-West as our support on how do we do this. Maybe we take all these points that we're hearing today and create a program for supporting and growing African-American owned businesses. But that is really good information. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to speak. So one of the things that I mean, me personally, I do like Barbara and Pat. I look to see who's in the community. Of course, you guys know I'm part of the National Association of Minority Contractors, but we have contractors in the organization that we have people. Look, I personally know people that are not in my organization that are mom and pops, and they are out here doing construction, and they're truly scared of the commercial world, but they know how to do their job if you hire them to do it. So personally, I use some of those individuals, that 1-man, 2-man organizations to get some of my projects done. And I also, I guess the blessing part of being part of NEMC, we get a lot of individual requests for, they looking for African-American companies. We're always getting somebody calling our office, and what we do is refer them to, so somebody say, I need an African-American plumber, or I need and we send that out to, our members, and sometimes I send them out to some of the non-members, because of the fact that if it's a need and you're looking for an African-American company and I know of somebody, of course, I'm going to share that information. So like Rhonda, I share when something comes along, I share it whether you're a member or not, because I want us all to succeed. So it's just a point of giving opportunities to people who may not have the opportunity elsewhere. Because we all get tons of emails about opportunities, but we look at the ones that are truly serious, and we try and share that information with people we know.
Rising tide rises all boats. So rising tides, everybody's rising together. So talking about rising together, what are some of the things you're thinking about to do in the future? What are some of the next strategies that you're employing, or you think we should be employing as a community of women business owners to rise together?
I think that's a good question, but and maybe gives kind of rise to the thought that I was just having about all of the various organizations that we all belong to: WBEC, NAMAC, Black, California African American Chamber of Commerce. All of these organizations are there to support the growth of African American businesses and to build wealth in African American communities, generally speaking, right? But again, getting people to get engaged and participate and realize the value, because mainly they don't know. They're not familiar with it. You know, they're not in our circle, if you will. And I think that is the way to help all businesses grow, is to try to get them more informed so that they know where they can get access to capital, so that they know if they're bidding for something, how to bid it. I mean, we've been through every class you can think of. I'm sure every last one of us, right? But those classes have brought us the knowledge that we need to run our businesses and grow our businesses. And so I think that's one route that we should be looking at, is to getting more people that are out there engaged in our organizations to help them grow our business, their businesses. Well, they can grow ours too.
Yeah, it's a reciprocal, right? It's give and get. It's always about the reciprocal world that we have. Rhonda, what are some of the things you're doing? I know you've done a lot in this area of bringing the conversation to the front. And how are you seeing that propelling all of us as a community?
So I was actually going to comment after Pat mentioned the information that's available, but I think one of the real pivotal points, and this is where I've tried to take a more personal effort, is the implementation of that information. You know, the whole take a horse to water but can't make them drink syndrome. So, you know, how do you, like Sharon's example, how do you get rid of some of that fear? How do you talk and train and maybe coach people through some paperwork or an application, or how Barbara gave the example of, you know, I'm going to walk you through this, or I'm going to give you, you know, your tenacity and your stick-to-itiveness in other areas of your life can, you know, be a transferable skill to work over here in this business. So helping people realize that they have all of those things, and creating a format where, you know, one by one, I mean, the things that come easy, you know, to myself or Barbara, Sharon or Pat, you know, they didn't come overnight. You know, this is when you mentioned about the different classes, I was writing down, I wrote down like 6 different programs that I've personally done within the past 3 years, not to mention, you know, even pre-pandemic. So, but that need for that information is there, but also the need for the accountability and the implementation of those things is really what's going to make the transformation in our businesses and in our communities.
Yeah, anything to add, Barbara, Sharon?
I think Rhonda's right. And so my board and I were coming up with, we're working on a program that will take a small contractor and have them understand the paperwork part, because the paperwork part in this commercial world is totally different from most of our contractors that's coming from residential to commercial. And we want them to be able to understand it fully, and go, like Rhonda said, go deep, go step by step, because we learned it by doing it. Some people are scared to just make that step. So we want to try and make it as easy as we possibly can. We all know that African Americans are coming into construction way behind everybody else. So we have to figure out a way to help them make that transition, and it's a smoother transition. So they're gonna get their head knocked, just like we got ours, but maybe in a different way. And if we can help them solve and cut down on some of that, that confusion that comes with this construction world, I think it'll make their transition an easier transition.
I really do like that point, Sharon. Like, let's help, you know, pull ourselves up by learning from people who've been there before you in literal sense, in learning the paperwork, learning that it can be done, learning that you have to attend. How many trainings have I seen you guys in? And you guys are very well accomplished. And so you still want to go, because information is different and is received differently at different points. And we always talk about the fact that African Americans, for example, all the business deals are done in a golf course, and not so many African Americans are in the golf course. So how do we create this networking opportunity for us as a community in a way that it makes sense for us? And I like those programs, the mentoring that you all are doing, the ability to bring one more into the fold, right? Reaching down and getting one more, getting that one contractor that's a single mom and pop contractor with very good skills into doing some of these commercial projects. So talk to me about the networking. And I want to hear, because all the time I hear, oh, there's too many trainings, but I see you ladies in those trainings. What is the motivation and why do you keep coming? So that other people who are listening to this podcast can understand the importance of networking, the importance of showing up.
Well, I live by the theory, I tell my kids all the time, now knowledge is power. And, you know, people say you don't know what you don't know. Well, you don't know if you don't go and learn it, right? And be engaged. And yeah, sometimes it conflicts with your schedule, but it's something that you might have missed along the way that you need to know. And it might be in that training with just a conversation about networking, about marketing, about how to look at a contract, about how to bring on subcontractors. And those meetings, those trainings are so important. And if you say, well, I don't have time or I don't need it, then that's a lost opportunity. It's a lost opportunity to build your networking. It's a lost opportunity to learn something new. It's just lost opportunity when we decide not to go. So getting into the training is important. And if you miss it, then watch it, a rerun on it, but it's always something to learn. And I think when we stop learning, we stop growing, we stop moving.
I agree. 100%. I am always hungry for knowledge. You can never learn too much. And so every single program I've ever attended, I've learned something new. And then I've actually started, since my son and my daughter both work with me in this company, I am now getting them the opportunity to attend some of these classes, because one day I will retire. I don't know what day that is, but one day it's going to happen. And in the meantime, I got to get them, to where they're comfortable, not, in this supposedly niche market that I keep talking about of energy efficiency. It's a space that I know really well, and they don't know it quite as well, but you don't have to know it well. What you need to do is just know how all the other parts, like you said, the marketing, the accounting, the networking, which is actually the most important thing that you can do. I really believe that because I know all of you ladies from networking, from being out there, I feel that you're friends. We have a relationship, and that if I need something, I can call Sharon, I can call Rhonda, I can call Lily and Barbara. Now I can call you. And I think that's really important to the continuous growth of our companies, is having these relationships.
And I agree with both ladies. I attend, because like Pat said, you learn something new every day. So you never know where that next learning is going to come from. So all you have to do is be open, and you will learn something. And I believe that's why we attend. We also attend for the relationships. Because in this construction world, people do business. A lot of people do business with people they know. And if you don't get out and meet people, then you defeated the purpose of just sending a piece of paper in, because they don't know who you are. So the chances of them picking up your information is almost slim to none. So it's best to get out here, meet people, network. So you network with the agency, you network, you get to meet other subcontractors that you may be able to JV with and or hire on a project you have. So it's just the relationships and the learning is what keeps us going. What can we learn new? Where can we benefit from? That's why I keep going.
I think just to add to all the sentiment, one of the things, and this is more probably post-pandemic, is I'm more encouraged to be seen and be on Zooms and be on calls and be at events, so people know I'm still here, because a lot of businesses, to your earlier point, Lily, did not make it. So to be in the room and to share either what's got you going, if you had a pivot, and now you're doing things a little different. If you've niched down and are, just doing one core trade or one core opportunity in your business because of, whatever happened through the pandemic. But I think also, it's that mark of triumph, right? That mark of sustained business operations, that you as the leader of your organization has a presence in the community. I think that was one of the ways that, I was able to even just stay around, like, oh, good, Rhonda, you're still around, you know what I mean? Because we had some challenges. We had some serious challenges, but sometimes just being in a room, putting my contact information in the chat, got us a phone call, or it got us an opportunity, for a bid or for, something else. Because a lot of, us didn't, aren't still here, aren't still in business.
Agreed. Networking is everything. And so we as a community have to do our own way of networking, right? We don't go to the golfing events, but we do network a lot with each other. And this is the sentiment that has really continued, that I've continued to hear, that you gotta be out there. You have to continually be out there to continue to have your name in the room. One of the biggest thing I always tell people is I want somebody to say my name when I'm not there, in a positive way, in the boardroom, right? I want somebody to say, hey, have you done business with Rhonda lately, right? She does this. Somebody will be able to say my capabilities when I'm not there. So that is something that we look forward to. So some of the final thoughts that I want you to think about is, how do we go from here? How do you pivot your business? Or a lot of people pivoted their business during the pandemic to be able to accommodate the needs at that time. Are you still in that business, or did you go back to your core business, or did you just continue with your core business throughout the pandemic and now, or did you pivot a little bit to accommodate what were the issues? And what advice would you give businesses when external factors affect business? The core or the message is, how do you pivot and how do you stay relevant? So give us some thoughts and ideas of how did you pivot? How do you stay relevant? Which is one of them was networking, attending all those trainings. But how did your business stay resilient during this? Has stayed resilient through the last 3 years?
So I did change my strategy a little bit about the direction that my company was going in. In particular, again, I keep talking about this being a niche market, but it's one that's growing. You hear about climate change, you hear about even the Inflation Reduction Act includes funding for climate change, for decarbonization. And so while it may be a niche, it is definitely a growing and emerging business opportunity for many businesses. And so what I learned is that I don't have to be prime on everything. So I built out a whole bunch of partnerships with competitors. I mean, technically they were competitors, but, and maybe it's because a lot of, especially in the utility industry, requires minority participation in these contracts. But we had a reputation, we had a really good, solid reputation in the industry with integrity, we had experience, and we had contractor's license. So as far as I'm concerned, you need us more than we need you, but let's form a partnership and see how we can grow that. And as a result of that, I pretty much have partnered with everyone in this industry. And that's part of my ability to grow beyond California and going to other states by just partnering with other companies that are in the same industry that I'm in and taking a second tier role. Not necessarily a prime, but I don't give up all my primes. It doesn't mean that I'm not still going after prime contracts. I am, but I'm offering my services in different ways. So that was kind of my pivot and my strategy to keep up with the emerging markets that are happening here.
No, Pat, you bring up a great point. The pandemic also created opportunities that were not there before in the way they are now. So partnering is one of the key ones, but you're talking about climate change, sustainability. The laws and regulations have really been enhanced around sustainability, and your business is pretty much a sustainability company in a way. So learning the industry, learning what's out there, being able to use that knowledge to catapult you to the next level of your growth is really important. I know, Barbara, you are ready to say something. Okay, Barbara, you're on mute.
I was saying Pat makes a great point that we don't always have to be a prime on a job. Let someone else bond the job. Why use up our resources, right? And be a subcontractor. And it's okay, all money is green. And then the next project, they might be your sub and you're the prime on the job. And so just building those relationships. I love it when you said, Lily, your name comes up in the boardroom, and that's what happened on the contract that I currently have is they couldn't get anybody to bid their work. And one of their board members who was a prior banker of mine said, have you called B&M Construction? And so that opened the door for us to get into this here agency that overlooked us for years. And we're right here in Colorado Springs. And so now we're building that relationship, and they were very apprehensive on giving us the contract. And we've just surpassed their expectations that we're going to be looking at work that's not going to hit the street. And so that has really, that networking, that name in the boardroom does really come to pass. But far as partnering, actually a gentleman from California, one from Ohio, they didn't know me. I'm part of a contract that's $15 million. And I was going to pull out because they don't know government. So now I am more of a consultant mentoring partner to help them in the government space. And so looking at those opportunities, I know sometimes we say some things are too good to be true, but they have just really panned out. So that's part of my strategic plan. It's always been part, but really since COVID, it has come to the forefront because they needed me to get to this contract. And so I think sometimes we lose out on things when we have that mindset is they need me, are they going to use me? No, you still come with the same business mindset to help them be successful, to help you grow, to get you in front of a new client, because they're looking at that subcontractor base as well and see how they're doing. So just if we look at things as an opportunity, and make that a part of our strategic plan of partnering, communities can grow, especially the African-American community.
I love that. Just look at everything as an opportunity. Where do you fit in? How does your business strategy align with that business opportunity that's in front of you? Is it to bring you in front of a new client? Is it to bring you in as a sub and you land the business? Or is it bringing you as a prime and you land that client? So a lot of opportunities that you can get around just by observing and understanding the market that you're in, right? Rhonda?
I thought back to one of the Thrive sessions that WBEC-West hosted as a part of their programming efforts. And the instructor had us like line item what our channels of business and how much money we actually generated from those channels. So having a minute to kind of have that, more macro view of my business, and then realizing that the paint industry by itself is a $56 billion industry. I don't have 1% of 56 billion yet. So, it really had me rethink, where I was investing my resources, where I was investing my time, and, my messaging on what I do and what we do well, and, where our core capabilities lie. So I think that one of the pivots was really refining what we do and how we do it, and coming clean with, let's do this really, really well, and then go back to doing, some of the other things. I think that was one for us, like really going, I wouldn't even say back to basics, because, my original business was interior design. So that's a lot different than being a paint contractor, but just looking at the numbers and not just revenue from a gross number, but really looking at profitability, right? Because that is the real core metric that really sustains a business, is not what you make, but how much of it you keep. So I think, having that programming and really implementing some of the instruction and tutelage, and really having that hard, come to Jesus moment conversation with me and the owner of Decor, and just saying, look, girl, what's your plan? Do you want to keep doing this or not? And then, do you want to do it well? And then, those succinct questions, land you here today on a call like this with other successful women business owners.
Absolutely. I love that, Rhonda, is having that understanding of your core business profitability or margins that you make, right, in your business, to understand where do I need to put most of my effort right now, and also just refining how you do it. So the pandemic helped people rethink where they make money, how they make money, and also just help you in that line of thought process and gain a clarity of where you want to go. So love that a lot.
Well, believe me, Lily, if I could have turned paint into hand sanitizer, I would have, but that
wouldn't. I know, all right? The mask and the hand sanitizer. I think we had a woman-owned business who pivoted and was so it's just, she was already in the chemical business, but she was not doing hand sanitizer. So refining and taking advantage of the opportunity was what she did. Sharon, talk to us a little bit about your business strategy and how, after the pandemic, how did you pivot to where you are today? How did you refine? How did you modify, if at all, any?
I would say what I actually did, we went back to, because of the fact that the pandemic had hit us pretty hard when we came back, we immediately changed the structure and came up with a new set of processes and procedures that we will follow as we move forward. We had time enough, because normally you're busy. You had time enough to make some adjustments on things you wanted to make before. And now you had that time in order to, okay, when this happens, I'm going to do this. And when this happens, I'm going to do that. So we were able to change our processes. And we also looked at our book of business that we were doing before and making conscious decisions if that was where we wanted to go. We wanted to continue on that path, or did we, because not all people, we have some projects we're blessed to be a general contractor, but then we have other contracts that we do subcontract work. Well, do I want to continue to do subcontract work with this company that's taking 90 days to pay me? No. I want to, either you're going to negotiate with me on how often we get paid, and it won't be 90 days. And, or if you're not willing to do that, then we're not willing to do business with you, because that means you're not being small business friendly. And if you don't want to be small business friendly, we don't want to do small business work with you.
I like that. We always hear that it's very difficult to, quote unquote, fire a client. And that's really essentially what you're looking at. You're looking at, is this client sustainable for me? Mm-hmm. Is this client who I'm doing business with? Because at the end of the day, you end up paying the client, so to speak, because you're taking your money and utilizing your money to do other things. So I like that, Sharon. Just thinking about looking at your operations, looking at your processes, and looking at where can I create value with my operations and my processes. And one of the ones that you talked about was, hey, looking at how often do you get paid? Is it worth doing business with this prime if they're not small business friendly? So truly appreciate the conversation. Hey, anything else? I know we are almost at time, but I want to give you all an opportunity to go around the room, so to speak, and offer any advice or any thought process or any key takeaway from your perspective for all these years in business to another business that's listening today. And it doesn't have to be an African-American owned business. It could be another woman-owned business that's listening to this podcast today. And what advice would that look like, or opportunity, if you're to summarize that in less than 2 minutes each? Barbara.
I would say embrace the challenges, because that's where growth comes from. the challenges. It's not when we have it all down and we have our I's dotted and our T's crossed. It's when we have a bust in a bid, or we're struggling with staffing, or we don't have enough bonding, or our lines of credit has been tapped out, or we need a line of credit. Embrace those challenges, because that's what makes us think. That's what motivates us. That's what moves us. That's what keeps us going. So embrace them.
Yes, embrace challenges, embrace them. Look at challenges as opportunities. What can you build from it, or what can you learn from it? I know we always talk about what doesn't kill us makes us stronger in a way. So yes, I agree. Thank you so much.
I want to piggyback on Barbara.
Go ahead.
She says embrace challenges. I say embrace change. Because everything, this world we living in now is moving fast. And you're constantly having to pivot to keep up with the change. Pat is in Patchville with all this climate change. Everything's changing almost on a daily basis. So not only do you got to embrace the challenge, you must embrace the change. So you have to be open to both, because those are the two biggest things outside of the normal everyday business that we deal with.
Embrace the challenge, embrace the change, because change and challenge are inevitable. We are going to have to. So thank you so much, Sharon. Pat.
So we went through something that none of us could have ever imagined going through in this country. And that was a pandemic that completely shut everything down. And we're still here. Why? Because we did not let that overcome us. We had to figure out, like you've asked before, how we pivoted, how we changed our strategy, how we stood up to the adversity and the challenges, and we are still here. And that's the tenacity that you need to run your company. That is the tenacity that you need to grow your company. It could have been a lot worse, but we're still here. And I think that's amazing.
You've said it quite well. That's really amazing. Everyone is still here. That was going to be one of my concluding remarks, but you're here. I am super excited. We didn't lose anyone, right? And you actually all have grown. Your resiliency, your persistence, and what's most important that I had is you love what you do. And when you love what you do, challenges might come, change might come, you will find a way. So thank you for that, Pat. How about you, Rhonda?
I was trying to sum it up in 3 words, like all my other astute and compelling and concise women on this call. So I guess my message would be to specifically women business owners, as the goal givers, as the maternal nurturers of our families, and tend to be in our businesses, that we save something for self, right? Save something for self. Have a place, a cup that's runneth over, at least close to the tippy top, to be in a position to give from. And my 3 words is who, not how. So really reaching into the consultancy, professional consultants, the talent pool, the employees that you might already have that have a skill set that you may not even know about, tap into the resources that are around you, tap into the community, tap into, the fellow organizations, NAMAC, the WBEC of the world, and just, save something for self that you have a place to be resilient from, to be, giving from, and to grow your businesses or grow your communities from.
Well said. Who, not how, right? Focus on who, focus on how you, and when you know people, it's just a matter of networking and giving and really enjoy that, being part of where you are today, to be able to give to the people behind you or beside you or even the people that are not there yet. So I loved when Pat talked about her children in the business. You're already looking forward to the next generation. And that's really our core mission, is to look at the next generation and feel like, how do I get the next generation of leaders? How do I get the next generation of African-American-owned businesses to thrive and to continue? I want to hear businesses are now 150-year-old businesses. We rarely hear that because something happens in the transition or translation of businesses as we go through. But I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me again this opportunity, Dr. Williamson and WBEC, for allowing us this opportunity to have this conversation. Sometimes it's difficult for us as African-American and women to reflect and just to give ourselves pat in the back. And I mean it. I want to hug you all and tell you congratulations. I'm so excited that you're continuing, you're showing your resiliency as leaders. And though we know, well, some progress has been made, it is essential to continue the momentum and address the structural barriers that still persist today for African-American-owned women business owners. So just by talking today, we talked about several things, several call to actions that we can do. And one of them is really understanding your business and your business strategy, looking at opportunity to pivot, change, refine, improve upon your own processes and your operations to get you to that next level or to help you persist in the challenges or change that's happening. Another one was really focusing detail and wondering, looking at your network, who do you network with? How do you get to the networking organizations? What do you need to do? How do you get there? And then creating an ecosystem of how to get to the people that you need to know, being in the board, having somebody talk about you, right? Having that ability to training, to attending networking events, to gather the knowledge, because you all said, hey, it may be one thing that I didn't understand, so I'll go again. Or maybe this time I go, I met somebody that I never met before that's going to open a door for my business. So looking at opportunity, instead of looking at opportunity in a narrow way, you're looking at it as I could be a prime, I could be a sub, I could be a consultant. You're embracing all the business strategies that are out there for African-American owned businesses. So in all, we are just, let us rise as women entrepreneurs. Let us be fueled by the resiliency, the innovation, the unwavering spirit that we have, that we own our destinies, that we're going to get to that destiny that we're looking for, even if it's bringing another business, even if it's bringing teaching or learning or reaching back in a different way. It's really all very important. So success knows no boundaries when passion, perseverance, and purpose are behind you. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to catching up again with you ladies in another 2 years to see how much success you've done. Pat, I want to hear all the other offices that you're opening. Sharon, you're out there. I want to know what new and big things. Rhonda, man, the paint store, 1% of the 56 billion is in your destiny. And Barbara, thank you for going for it and just opening up ways for other people, other women like us to be able to do business in this industry. So appreciate everyone. Have a great evening and thank you so much.